Good Monday morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is, yes, Monday morning, 24th of February, and today in this educational video, there's no recommendation and advice whatsoever. We will start with Amazon that Friday tested support at 215.90, negative sentiment on the RSI. It is likely to break lower in the coming days. And if we're looking at weekly chart, we can see it was a massive sell-off there. There's been divergence building up for quite some time, and it looks quite toppish at the moment, and it could continue lower here in the coming days and weeks. But let's see today, maybe it could bounce a little bit and then have another go. On the actual index, the S&P 500, and I have both the daily and the weekly chart here, and the reason for this is that firstly on the daily chart, it has broken its rising trend line. So it's still in a bullish trend, but it is in a little bit of a danger now, or in jeopardy. Quite a strong sell-off Friday, broken below here to just about the 55 moving average. Here pre-market we're up about 0.3%, but what is key and interesting to watch is on the weekly chart. We actually had here Friday, when the market closed lower, last week we had a bearish engulfing pattern there. So that is a top and reversal pattern. We also had massive divergence on the RSI for quite some time, indicating bullish trend exhaustion. So that would be interesting to follow here the next couple of weeks. Will it take out the rising trend lines there? And then we have the key support down here at 5,773. But first one will be down here at 5,900. On the Nasdaq 100 index, also a bearish engulfing pattern. You can see market open higher than the previous week's close and close lower than the previous week's open. That is a bearish engulfing top and reversal indicator, and also divergence on the RSI indicating we are in a trend exhaustion. It has been indicating that for quite some time though. Nasdaq 100 down 2% Friday. Next support 21,454, and the key one is 20,974. The Dow Jones index testing support here at 43,373 Friday. So if it breaks back below that and closes below, well, we are in a bearish trend and negative sentiment on the RSI. There's been the divergence on the weekly for quite some time. So it looks quite toppish, I would say. European markets were in a correction phase and showed top and reversal pattern on this EuroStoxx50 on the daily chart, but there was no divergence on the RSI, indicating it was merely just a correction. And if we are looking here just pre-market, we are up almost 0.8% after the German election yesterday. It seems like market has received it fairly well, and has jumped higher here early morning. So it will be interesting to see where we will end the day today. If it takes out the lows from Friday, then it could really spell trouble for the European indices. We have a DAX index that paused a little bit Friday with its trading here, just at the 38.2 retracement. Right there, just below it. But here pre-market we are up almost 1.5%. We can see here, so we are indicated to open and bounce back, and also no divergence on the RSI, indicating likely higher levels on the European markets. The FX market there stayed fairly muted. We have your dollar spiking a little bit higher here, just below the 100 moving average and the minor resistance at 105.35. Still a little bit unsure what the RSI is telling me here. This is we are in a bullish trend, but not really. I want to see a break above and preferably close above 105.35 for it to push towards 106. If it can't do that and it being rejected, then we are looking at 104 and possibly lower. Cable sterling dollar, well, it is in a confirmed bullish trend with higher highs, higher lows, and so on. 100 moving average, trading around that at the moment. We are above the cloud. We are positive sentiment on the other side. We should see a push up to around the 128 area where we have some strong resistance. If it starts sliding back below here and the lows from last week at 125.60, well, then we could see a push back to the 125, maybe even 24. Euro sterling this morning spiked just below support here at 86.60, 86.63 to be exact. Not the strong support, but still we can see how it bounced off here a couple of times. So maybe we could have a little bit bounce up to around 83.5 level. Dollar yen, well, very close to just above the 148.64, 65 support here. Expect a bounce from that level too, and we can remove this one, so that's where we are at the moment. Let's see if it starts spiking below here, then we could see a push down to 147.20 maybe, but a little bit of bounce here could be seen the next few days. Euro yen also dancing around just above a minor support 155.60. We are in a bearish trend. But there's a little bit divergence. You can see the RSI value here is higher than here, but the market actually closed lower here than here, but it's just marginal. We are still in a bearish trend. If it takes out the lows there at 155.59, well, then we are looking at 154.30 level, maybe even 153. The Aussie yen. Also finding some ground here around the 786 retracement, just below 95, 94, 92. Could bounce a little bit, but we are in a bearish trend, and I think it will take it out and maybe drop to around 93.65, maybe all the way down to 93. The sterling yen. Also bearish, but also finding some support here at the 786 retracement. If it takes out the lows here from Friday, then we could see another sell-off down to around 186.70 level, maybe even down to around 185. Really to change this bearish scenario of lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs, and so on, it really needs to get back above 193. In Aussie dollar, let's just resize this a bit. We spiked up to the 100 moving average and the upper part of cloud just above 64. Didn't get all the way up to the 64.25 at 138.2. We could still do that because we have positive sentiment on the RSI and no divergence indicating likely higher levels. If it takes out that level, then we could be looking at 65 area up here, 64.80, 65.17 in this area there. If it starts taking out the lows there from Friday at 63.27, 63.25, then we could see it setting back down to the 55 moving average, which is just around the 60 to 65 level. Dollar Canada, fairly muted also, in a little bit of a consolidation sideways range here. Still support at the 100 moving average and the cloud area, and especially 141.20 support. If it starts moving back above 142.65, then it could resume uptrend, but it will be a little bit of a struggle since we also have negative sentiment on the RSI. Sterling Canada, quite volatile this morning, as usual, I would say. Spiked above the 180. I think we will see a bit of a setback here, and I will then see, okay, where could it? We could see a correction to, well, down to 178.80, and we have the 55 and the 100 moving average, and also the 21 moving average, giving some support here, and then maybe we could have had another push. Euro Swiss still in this volatile range here, between 95.17 and 93.30. Big range, I know, but I don't have any direction for now. Bouncing from the 100 moving average, but still in this range here, so not much to say. Fairly boring, actually. Dollar Swiss, well, testing the support here at 89.65 this morning, and the RSI is testing this 40 threshold. So will it bounce or will it break? And then we are looking at 89.15. If it does bounce, then it needs to get back above the rising trend line here, back above the cloud, for it to resume bullish trend. So let's see here the coming days. The dollar index is below its support at 106.42, could push to 105.35, but for now it's holding on a little bit, and so keep on. But if it takes out the lows from today and 106, well, then we're looking at 105.35, maybe even 105. Gold is still holding on just above, just below the 29.15 level, but basically past a week or so, past 4 days last week, it's been flat. It is struggling a little bit, but we can see here the RSI is still above. It's still above its rising trend line there, and still above 60 threshold. There is divergence, as we can see. The values have been declining, market moves higher, so it is a bit stressed at the moment. Looking at the weekly chart, you can see here it reached the 161.8 projection of this large correction there. And it will take an effort to get to 3,000. I'm not quite sure we'll get there or not, but there is potential. There is potential as long as we stay above 28.50 level. The silver, well, testing the 32.35 support this morning, seems to be struggling a little bit. Can't really get momentum, and we had a bearish engulfing here Friday. So we are in an uptrend, but it is struggling to push higher. Copper also in a correction, still correction phase, could dip lower. We have some support here at 451. There is still potential medium term, as we can see here on the weekly, to higher levels. There's no divergence on the RSI, but it was a spike up here that was not that much anticipated, but actually you can see very volatile copper, so be aware. But if it starts pushing back above 464, 463.70, well, then bullish trend will resume. Crude oil this morning opened a little bit lower, but bouncing here. We're still above the support areas here at 69.68 levels, 68.40, 69.20, around the $70. So for now, it's still uncertain where it's going to go. We can see here on weekly chart where it was a massive sell-off, but here on daily, well, it's just slightly bearish with a range-bound behavior. Brent crude oil testing the 74.10 support likely this morning here, very close to. If it starts taking out, well, then we could be looking at 72, 70, spot 72 support area. European gas, Dutch gas, closed Friday below the 786 retracement, but still above the cloud and just around the 100 moving average. We could still bounce here, but I want to see it back above 50 euros before I say, okay, now we have bounced, and a close above 50.5 would be preferred there. But of course, it's good for gas consumers in Europe and all of us that it is not staying elevated at this Dutch gas. The Henry Hub gas, correction after reaching almost $4.50. I think we could see testing 38.2 at 390 here fairly shortly, but we can see positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels on the US nat gas. However, if it starts taking out 390, well, then suddenly we could be looking at 355 and the 55 moving average there. So quite volatile at the moment. On to Treasury yields, and US 10-year Treasury yields very close to testing the 4.4% support, back below the cloud here, just above the 100 moving average. But there's negative sentiment on the RSI after early February when it broke below the 40 threshold. So could it push lower? If it takes out 40, well, then we could be looking at lower levels, maybe in the, and let's see where we could have that. There could be a little bit of support in this area here, around 430. If it bounces, well, then we'll try to get back above a 4.5%. The 2-year massive drop Friday. Hasn't opened, it's just opening here just around at the moment. No, hasn't opened this morning. 5 415 key support to look out for, to test if it takes out that and the 100 moving as it will give this support. Well, but below 415, then we could be looking at 410 for 4%. On the European, we saw the European 10-year Friday massive drop after peaking just above 2.5%, 256. Massive drop, and now bouncing a little bit this morning. If it starts getting back above 2.5%, then maybe it could resume uptrend. There is positive sentiment on the RSI indicating we are likely to push higher, but it was a massive drop, to be honest. If it starts taking out 240, well, then we could be looking at 235 again. The UK 10, little drop here Friday. If it takes out the little spike up there at 459.5, so let's say 460, well, then we are looking at 470, maybe even higher. On the cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin still in this very tight range here, the triangle-like pattern needs to break out of, so no direction. Ethereum also dancing around here, 2600 and 2800 in the sideways range, trading here, slightly rising, but we need really a break above 2900 or a break below 26 for a new direction. All right, that's all for today on this Monday. Have a nice day and talk to you again tomorrow.